Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan Bowden. I was one of the writers and directors, and I also played Luke on this film.
I'm Joshua Bowden. I'm the director, screenplay writer, and visual effects.
Hi everybody, I'm Bina and I'm the assistant director. I also did makeup and miscellaneous stuff on this film.
I'm Pappy. I am the producer. I played a zombie and I was killed by John.
I'm Joseph. I am the sound engineer and the bandit.
Welcome to the commentary for the world we knew.
Quick side note, this is actually my apartment.
Yes.
This is my apartment that I share with Bina.
This was filmed on it wasn't too cold, but it was an October day, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be cloudy this day, but it was actually really, really sunny, so that's why some of these shots are blown out.
And if you look here in just a second, Pappy will come around the corner as a zombie.
The makeup here was done by Bina. Yeah. We like to use as much practical as we can.
We, part of the makeup that we did, there was oatmeal in Pappy's beard. And didn't your beard get caught on a stick at one point?
Yes, it did. This is our friend Naz, our friend's daughter Naz. Her mother is actually in this.
She'd never been in any film before this, so this was her first. This is actually her mom.
There's her mother.
This is her debut.
Do you remember how many times you actually had to take that fall?
Oh, 10, 15?
Yeah,
Probably.
he actually had a messed up shoulder from doing that.
This shot here, I was a little bit worried coming up because of the way the hill was. You see how I kind of stand there and back off a little bit. It was just awkward because I didn't want to actually hit her and send her down the hill rolling.
That scene with JC is one of my favorite scenes in this movie because of the way she falls. It's so perfect.
Yeah, if you notice that one point Naz is cleaning her hands off when she gets off the ground.
You fool! What are you trying to do? Bring them all down on us?
I tried to.
You
In
tried?
this
The gun?
scene, though, we actually
You might as well ring the dinner bell.
filmed it in order, and we usually don't do that. Sometimes it
Who
just
are you?
depends. So we spent probably about 2 or 3 hours filming all that other stuff, and then when we got to the dialogue, we really were tired. We really were worn out.
It was a long day.
Yeah.
I actually had to go back and ADR some of these lines too.
Yeah.
I mean, I did, but they're gone.
And this is all you
ADR
have
for
to
this, I
defend
think this
yourself?
was like the hardest one as far as the film
You
goes
pack?
because
You better learn real quick.
the way the lines were supposed to be read off and the way it was supposed to be
Gotta deal with
said.
them.
This line in particular, moving close,
Moving close.
because the camera
Not too
shifts
bright.
off of me and then onto me,
All you gotta know
and
about
trying to get that right.
Save the gun for the
We
real
were
evil of this world.
up till really late in the evening trying to finish this.
Here, take this.
I was actually off camera feeding lines
I'd
to
get
the
moving if I were you.
actors.
That's the thing about being an actor and a director is sometimes you worry about the shots and you don't worry so much about what your lines are. And I know that's not proper, but at the end of the day, you know,
Should have rehearsed.
we should have rehearsed, but
Yeah.
we did not rehearse.
We learned a lot making this film. It really pushed us for our next bunch. It gave us a lot of good ideas for our next video.
And a little snippet of information for y'all. The blood stain on my stomach was actually for a scene later that we filmed previous to this, but it would not come out in the wash.
Yeah.
So we like to just say that it's there from where I killed someone earlier, or a zombie earlier. That's the official wiki note on that.
We should have had Josh's dialogue here because there wasn't enough time. I had to extend and make time for that to fit in.
Didn't we actually film his dialogue before this?
I mean, am I crazy? That's
Yeah,
what
Yes.
I
we
said,
filmed it
right?
when we
We,
did
yeah. I was thinking this was
Yeah.
We
the
filmed
back.
the-
We filmed the back half of this short
Well, aren't you
first.
gonna respond?
I should have had it playing
Can't.
so
Radio's
we knew
broken.
how long it was.
It
Yeah.
only receives and won't send out.
Here, let me try.
Look,
I
continuity.
said it's
broken.
broken.
I said it's broke.
We all
That's the
we all
end
like
of
to
it.
refer to that as the Luke voice.
I gotta get going.
That's John's Luke voice.
Where you were going, right?
It's his kind of mixture of country and
That's
Batman.
where you were headed.
It's
It would be if Batman was from Polk County.
Just let me know.
Exactly.
Yes.
At this point, though, I remember because that day was so long, the sun started going down, and I just remember being kind of miserable at that point because
Okay.
even though it wasn't very hot out there, it was just doing the same thing over and over and over. And I had actually twisted my knee prior to this, so running around and stuff like that was, it was, I wouldn't say really difficult, but it was just annoying.
I never got a chance to thank you.
This is a reshoot.
A third.
A third
Yeah.
reshoot.
Because of the leaves was way
Oh
too
yeah, I'm
loud.
actually in this twice.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
He got to be Zombie Joe. In fact,
Zombie Joe.
when we first started this film, we referred to it as The Walking Joe
Yep.
I had to.
until we had an actual title.
Supplies.
Now, this was the third time we went up to the
Gonna make it much
is it
longer.
Chahowie?
Chahowie Mountain. Yeah.
I never got your name.
And filmed this sequence. And actually, while we were filming this on this particular day, there were several people we had to deal with that were walking by. And I mean, it's just a national park area,
I'm gonna
so it's
reserve
not
your
like we
seat. You going ahead.
went off way out in the woods. If you turned the camera around,
Sun's going
you would
down.
actually see the road going through that.
Long.
But visually, I think it looks really awesome.
Yeah.
I like how it's muted, almost like the colors are muted.
We tried to make sure that we filmed around the same time of year so that the leaf colors and everything could be the same. And here be the Walking Joe.
The reason why we call it The Walking Joe is we filmed a short film,
Luke.
Josh and I did, and Joey a few years prior to this, where we were similar characters, and that's why we had it, the temporary name of The Walking Joe. It was just a test when we had bought a new camera.
Happy and I weren't actually able to be on set for this particular scene, so all of Joey's makeup was completely digital at that point, since I was the one doing the makeup for the film.
Still really, really well done.
The first time we did it, I did his makeup. It looked awesome. And then unfortunately,
Wait,
well,
no!
Also,
We were gonna use it.
I didn't think about this, but on this particular scene, if you notice, my beard is not as thick as it was throughout the rest of it because we had finished filming
You
and then we had to go back and this was, I think this was
Did I not
this
tell
the
you
last
to
scene that
say
Austin and I
sorry?
had done together?
I think
Did you
so.
hear
Yeah,
that?
this was the last one we had done
You knew it was
together.
coming.
So I thought it was done and I tried to trim my beard up
My
and
beard's changed 3 times, and then it was going to change 3 times. And
Oh yeah.
Well, we were going to use the original for this part of the scene, but then
Give me that.
Austin had a goatee or something.
Mhm.
guess you can say I'm 3 different people.
Technically.
This scene was actually filmed at Austin's parents' house.
And this was originally supposed to be the last scene that we had scheduled on production to shoot.
So you noticed the beard.
And both of our minds were gone because we've been up in the mountains all day, and I'm surprised we even got through this.
If you've seen the blooper reel, you'll understand.
Oh,
Yeah, I was pretty angry.
Josh was
All they had
just.
to do was learn their stupid
He's
lines.
just like, get through the line.
Josh was angry. The other two were delirious. And then Joey
all my
was just
writing
there.
of trying to make it all fit together.
This is a day when we were at 3 different locations for the day. We were at Fletcher Park filming some stuff there, and then I believe we went up to Chilhowie at that point as well, and then we came all the way back. So we had shot 3 separate sequences in one day.
And this
It's
didn't
your
we
rock
film?
climbing and the river.
Didn't we
scene.
film me and Pappy's scene the day before? Was this
Yeah.
the same weekend where we filmed all weekend?
Cannot go there.
It may have been. All of it runs together now for me.
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur. It's all in the past.
Yellow.
We were filming or doing something with production just about every weekend
Group of people to go in there.
Yeah.
so that we could work around jobs just to get this finished.
They'd still have huge rations.
And we knew we wanted something to come out, and we had to have this done by December.
Were true.
And
Everyone was over.
it came out Christmas Eve, so we had to really push it because the schedule kept getting changed because, like Bina was saying, the day's availability for everyone had changed, and there were some rewrites as well because of one particular thing coming up here in a minute. But when we get to that, we'll explain that. But I do remember that this day, this night, it was so cold in between takes. I mean, it was probably like 30, 35, 36 degrees, but like to us, it was just ridiculously cold, and we just kept shivering in between the takes.
Little quick note about the flickering. We achieved that by changing the settings on the lights. It's not real fire there. It was
In some parts. It
yes,
is.
in
It
some
is.
parts, but when the face is focused up fully, it was flickering from our production lights.
And the thing about the fire is that I had asked Austin if he had lighter fluid, and he told me that he did. And when we got to set, he pulled out gasoline, and that's all we had was gasoline. Well, if you all don't know, gasoline, it goes out pretty quick if you don't keep that fire going. So, from what we had to do, we had to make sure that we were doing everything quickly with Joey laying on the ground, changing the lights back and forth.
This was longer in the script too, but not everyone you're on.
Well, like I said, it's not an excuse, but we were pretty tired at this point. We, doing in a normal production, you'll do one sequence a day and spend 8 to 12 hours doing that. But this particular day, because of the time crunch and trying to get everything done, we had moved to 3 separate locations. This is back on Chilhowie Mountain here.
Was it that you said that sign actually read?
Trail this way.
Just to show a little bit of the skill of Josh.
So here's the thing about this scene here. We were told by Austin once again that this was an abandoned train yard and that no one ever used it. Well, on this particular day, we had gotten there and it was just a lot of confusion because of the actors that we were working with that day. They just wanted to get on screen, and nothing against them or anything, but it was just it's just one of those days where there's so much going on that you're trying to direct and act and be a production. This was actually before Pappy and Bina joined our team that we filmed this. So technically this was the first shot that we did of the film. And in between that, there, if you notice, I'm wearing black pants, stretchy pants. I had lost 30 pounds after we did this and could wear jeans again.
Check in there.
But
We would have probably thrown the scene out, but I had written everything that connected to this. But
Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
where the script had changed to what happened on this day. Because
Joey number 2.
we had a cop show up,
Mighty Beard Joey.
and
Thank you.
she thought that we were trying to sell drugs behind the train carts, apparently. And I mean, it didn't look very good either way, with us coming around the corner with blood all over our bodies and weapons, because the weapons that we used, they are fake airsoft weapons, but they look real. We were very blessed by God that day that we didn't get charged a $5,000 fine.
originally, Joey was supposed to get killed here too.
Yes.
We didn't have time.
This was like almost a year beforehand. We started again.
Joey's the worst bandit in history.
I went and looked at the date. This was in January of 2015.
This scene here.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't the day that we went initially and then had to cancel due to rain, was it?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Initially had planned to be in the movie and then wound up becoming a producer and did actually get a scene in the movie after all.
Come on, kid. Come on.
The problem with this is
Did you want to talk about that really quick?
Edward and Ben.
Hey, you almost hit Edward, actually hit Edward in the face?
Yeah, they kept coming like too fast.
I told you
And I was telling them to just dial it back just a little bit so it gives me enough time to turn around and pick up the pipe. And one particular time,
What are we gonna do now? We have no food. We have no way.
Ed was running towards us, and Austin had actually stepped
Go
on
on
his
your own.
fingers,
I'll be the base
and
every
that
decision.
caused
I'll
him
be
to
your
stumble
feelings.
over a little bit further from the marker that we had.
No, I just
And when I swung up, I barely, like within a half a centimeter,
probably gonna make it.
missed his nose, and that wouldn't have been too great. And that last scene of me running away, that was actually my last scene that I filmed on this,
Keep doing it. We keep moving.
on this film here.
No time for resting.
John's makeshift weapons.
This was going to be a lot more elaborate. Right?
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do when it's the zombie apocalypse.
He was supposed to have
This
that string
this right
in-
here is my ode to Legolas. I wanted to do that. There was gonna be the sequence after this was supposed to be a lot longer, but due to the scenes not really turning out the way that we thought they should,
It'll do.
they got cut.
We, the first time I watched this, the first thought I had was
That's good.
having a song running in the background is "We Need a Montage," because it reminded me of the old school montages.
Funny thing about this scene is this particular part of the scene and that part of the scene were actually
Happy number
filmed
two.
in two different locations.
Yeah,
About 45 minutes away from each other.
yeah. And this is the second time you will see me on screen.
And this is my one time where I'm actually on the opposite side of the camera. I'm actually in the movie.
It was a running joke throughout the film that I just kept having to
Everybody on watch.
beat Pappy up while he was not even trying to defend himself.
That was another day that was really, really hard on my body. When we wrapped this scene for the day, I actually told John that I have a lot of respect for what stuntmen do. Being on this side of it instead of watching it from, it's a lot of hard work.
So, well, this particular side that you just saw Austin and myself on, that was in Ocoee, Tennessee. And this side is in Cleveland, Tennessee. just and it really it was really cool because a lot of people didn't even know that it was in different spots. But
I can't tell you how many times I tried to do that just to make it look like I actually got hit by an arrow. I felt so awkward. This is my first acting experience.
and this right here, this scene, we actually had Bina off camera spraying myself
him
with blood. And it just didn't work right. Like, it just didn't feel like it.
Before he turned around, before we filmed this particular part, I had to drench his face in fake blood just to make it look like he'd been sprayed.
I told her, I said, just go at it. You know, don't.
There's also a big chainsaw going on the whole time.
Oh, yeah, we had to film.
Oh, the chainsaw.
So every bit of dialogue you hear here on this particular scene, at this point, is all ADR.
Check the bodies.
Because the place where we were filming, the neighbors were cutting trees down, and every time every time we would take a break, so would they, and every time we would try to film, it was chainsaw.
Pretty
always.
much.
Now, during this particular scene, we had to just lay there, and we were laying there for a while.
Yeah, it was a good while.
30, 45 minutes. And when they would do the scenes where you could actually see our bodies, we couldn't breathe. We had to like breathe really shallow and hold our breath. And here in a minute, you're gonna see Josh actually had to get close up on my face, and I was trying my hardest not to blink or move my eyes or anything.
I thought I would have to digitally
The other
keep
one,
it
you said there
still,
was
but
another
I
gun?
didn't.
I don't know, kid. I saw him with something.
There was a couple of times where you can actually catch me take a
What were they
breath.
saying? You were talking to him before.
Power
What
of
did they say?
editing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to act all friendly. Because they knew I had the drop on them.
I always thought that it looks like I'm wearing some kind of like bulletproof vest or something under my shirt.
You know, when Josh and I
When you have your back
had
turned,
worked on the script, and I knew where the character of Luke was going to go, but I remember filming this on this day and saying those lines and thinking, man, Luke is pretty messed up. Like, I think it really, you know, when you try to get into that mentality of the character, you try to see their side of it and how they would view the world. And I think, like, this particular day, I was in that headspace, but I really started to see, like, where Luke was wrong and where his priorities lied. You know, he's a very selfish person.
And this right here is actually a picture of mine and Pappy's daughter when she was about 3 years old. We thought we'd use our actual child so Maggie could actually be in the film.
And this was actually a rewrite from Bina. Bina actually came up with this idea, which I think actually shifted the weight of the film. Because you see it, you know, that his actions affected this couple who's out in the woods trying to find their daughter, who may be there, may not, you know, could be turned or could just be at a camp somewhere.
And it really shows that this character still has his humanity. He saw them as people, not as a means to an end. This was another scene filmed up in the mountains.
Is it bad that I want to like MST3K right now?
I don't think that's ever a bad thing.
Now, this particular part here was, it was a pickup scene as well, and it was one that when we actually location scouted for a day, this is actually, it looked different than when we actually got there, because we scouted this location back in, I think it was like June or July, where it was still in the middle of summer, and this was in October when we filmed this, or actually November.
Yeah.
when we filmed this part, and it was the water had was rising a little higher than what I had previously seen. So it actually turned out to be better than how I had visualized it.
We like to refer to this scene as the disappearing backpack scene. Because Austin is missing his all of his equipment.
This was another reshoot.
That's it.
Originally,
Come on, let's get moving.
the angle was a little bit different, but at the time when we filmed it, we didn't plan on having the radio tower. It was actually, fun fact, it was actually supposed to be the beginning of the film after we left Happy and Venus' house.
How much food you got left?
Was it here that this location that you fell?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually in the scene where he falls is actually in the bloopers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the actual take as well.
Mm-hmm.
We just cut before the fall.
The
Yes.
thing is at this point, and we could make a whole DVD about me trying to walk across these rocks.
That was awesome.
But the thing was at the time is my knee had just started healing and getting better, and I didn't want to do anything to pull it and make it worse again. So I was walking like a grandpa across these rocks. Didn't get the shot that I wanted, and as you see, it cuts right here. If you would have kept that camera on my side a little bit longer, you would have seen me fall.
More of Josh's amazing editing work. Adding things in that doesn't exist.
And Austin now has this great backpack that he did not have in the last scene.
They were supposed to technically lose it from the bandit.
Now, this rock here, if you guys have seen any of our other films, was actually the one that Austin's hiding behind as Luigi in the Mario Halloween special that we did.
I'm gonna go left. You go right. Try to move up. Get around. See what you can see on the inside.
By myself?
I'll cover you.
The house again was added in.
Hey, Ryan. I need you on
Did
this.
not exist until Josh added that feature.
Hey,
And this was filmed earlier in the day, the same day as the campfire scene.
you're alone.
I like to refer to all of our filming that we did in October, November as pickups, because there's a lot of stuff that we forgot to do.
Joey again. Being the jerk that he is.
That scene was actually filmed at my house.
Mm-hmm. What was great was that when we actually filmed this final scene right here, it was raining, and it kind of added to the eeriness of the scene. This was a super long day,
Oh yes it was.
very long. We filmed from so many different angles that day, trying to get everything just right.
We still didn't do enough.
Yeah.
Still could have been more done.
Yeah, we still had to fix a couple of things.
It was about 3 hours before we ever got to any of my coverage on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see this particular, like literally probably about a minute and a half to 2 minutes of film took us about 3 hours just to do on one side.
Mm.
Lure people in with your lies and then you rob them at gunpoint?
But we got some really good takes. I was really proud of the actors in this scene.
If you heard the broadcast, why didn't you respond?
The radio was broken. Couldn't respond with this.
Josh, the actor here, was he responded to a message that we put up on the Chattanooga Acting Guild's Facebook page. And we felt that he really fit this scene. We did we had a day where we came to my apartment and had a read through of the script, and he fit
Who'd you say?
really well with what John and Josh were looking for in that character.
You thought you could do what you wanted.
This scene was pretty pivotal in the whole film. I mean, this is basically where we had tried to form the rest of the script around this, because one particular night, Josh and I were just sitting in our living room talking about what it could be, and pretty much, it wasn't quite word for word, but of how this scene was supposed to play out.
I remember the scene when we were filming it. It was very intense. Even just being behind the camera and watching everything. You could feel the raw emotion.
I think, like, in particular, filming this scene, you know, like I mentioned earlier, trying to get into the head of the character who has, you know, we don't know who he's lost, but he's lost someone. And I think it has to deal with life in general, that sometimes when we lose people that we care about, that we become people that we never thought we would be. And we lose our humanity, and we lose our way. And becoming selfish is probably a more common thing, because you don't care about anybody else that's around you. You care about what you can get from that particular thing. And that's what we really tried to come across here, was that this guy has lost his freaking mind.
As evident by the look that Austin just gave Luke. Austin may not have had a whole lot of lines in this scene, but I really commend him on his acting ability to be reactive, and just the way he's able to convey the emotion that's happening around him at that moment.
The thing about, like Bina was talking about though earlier, about the mood of the day, and Josh we had a chemistry the second that we started acting, and it was just natural. I mean, you know, I remember standing there and it was just silence, you know, during one particular part.
It was so intense that my children, who are 7 and 11, were so focused on this. They stopped playing with their toys and were just watching to see what happened. It drew them in.
Save the gun from really this world.
I think out of all the scenes that we've done for this movie, I think this one's my favorite.
Stop. I can't let you do this. This isn't right.
Get out of my way now.
Look, you said you had a crew that's counting on you. What if one of them gets bit and this cure of his can save them?
If they get bit, that's their own fault.
And this is the moments where you realize that Luke just doesn't care about even this guy that has been going around with him for a few months. And he would, you know, put a bullet in his head just to get to
What if my part
his
is
own
just
selfishness.
doing this?
Yep. We had to do this a couple of times because Austin couldn't find the gun in a couple of the scenes. He had a hard time. He was struggling with it. And my favorite scene is actually coming up here in just a second. It's one of my favorite shots of the whole film.
I loved
This scene
Josh's
right here.
reaction to that.
Right here, just the blood. And then
The syrup.
It, you know, like when I was acting on that part, particular, it just felt weird.
we actually told Austin, don't actually squeeze the trigger, just pretend. And he actually was clicking the trigger like he was really shooting him, just on instinct,
It was a good thing I wasn't laying down.
Yeah.
Shoot me.
just in
We had
case.
it loaded where he could, but he was doing it earlier and he was like using up all the gas.
That was the reaction that Josh actually had on that. Was
Yeah.
it was actually a real reaction because the gun went off. It was
Yeah.
an airsoft gun, people. Airsoft gun.
Yes, not a real gun. I made sure that we were all safe this day.
One of my favorite little fun facts about this, you can see there's a blue tint to Josh's shirt, almost like he's actually looking at a computer screen that's on. We achieved that by some LED lights and cardboard that were just taped to a dead monitor.
Yeah, this wasn't actually attached to any kind of power.
It was one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen, ever.
With the closing of the film, you know, we wanted it to be a little different, you know, and just we wanted to provide hope at the end and not so much hopelessness through this. But you know, we had a lot of people help us finish this and get it done in particular. But I think overall, I'm very proud of. There's some things I would change, but overall, I'm pretty proud of.
This was our first big film that we did as our production company as it is now. So I think we all were pretty pleased with how it turned out for our first time.
We have a lot of stuff coming up, you know, this year that's coming out. Some stuff we can't talk about quite yet, but we want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining us for this commentary, and share it, tell everybody about it, and we will see you guys on the next commentary. God bless.
Thanks a bunch.